Aloha. Aloha, welcome to BearsWave.com podcast. Coming to you from Bears Surf Shack, high above the shores of Waikiki Beach. Brought to you by Onnit.com. And we've got a special guest today, Lance Maki, the father of tandem surfing on the East Coast, and his partner Jacky Remrey. And we have a guest host today, the famous Niomi Fawn Marie.
Aloha.
Over there at engineers, who?
Shane, what's up, guys?
The Shane Woznick. So we're going to start out a little bit with a commercial first, you guys, okay? And I got, Shane, it was awesome. I'll tell you what I did this last week.
What would you do?
Okay, our great sponsor, Onnit.com, has some great vitamins and great supplements. Of course, now Dr. Maki is our guest here, so he doesn't know what we use here. He's actually my longevity doctor, too. But Onnit.com has these great supplements, and one of the things that we use is Alpha Brain, which is nootropics, kind of vitamins for the brain. And then we use their immune booster, and we use the sports shroom, which helps get more.
Tech Immune.
Yeah. And the sports shroom, which gets more oxygen into your muscle. It actually does a great job because I do about at least 7 miles a day of stand-up paddle beach workout combined. And I used to do 3.5 miles.
Good.
I always did 7, but I used to have to do it in 2 parts. Now I can do it in 1 because of the Shroom Tech Sport. But I was just in Kansas City, and Onnit was so sweet. They sent me a set of kettlebells, right? 2 15-pound, 1 25-pound, 1 35-pound kettlebell, because they just came out with them. And they sent me battle ropes, you know, the things you swing like this. And they sent me all my supplements, which they sent to me for free. But they said, we can't ship you these kettlebells. It's 500 pounds.
Yeah, right on.
But they said, you got to pay for it. No, it's not 500 pounds. It's like 140 pounds. But you got to pay for it, the shipping. I go, oh, all right. $500 for shipping. So I tell them, you know what? Send them to me in Kansas City. I'm going to go see my son Jeremiah graduate from college. Send it to me there. And they did that. And then I carried them home on the airplane. It was so funny because the kettlebells weighed 140 pounds. So I had 69 pounds in one and like 65 pounds in another, one of my bags. And they're just little bags, but they got like 70 pounds in them. So the guys, when I would give them to them, they just like, oh, what do you got in here? But it was just enough to be under the limit, so I didn't have to pay for them. So I got all this stuff brought to me for free. But what I was going to say is when I was leaving, I started feeling sick. Now, all during tax season, last spring, I almost always get a cold around the deadline for corporate taxes, March 15th. And I didn't this year because I've been using their immune vitamins. And I started getting sick, and I'd run out. They shipped me all this stuff, and I got it in Kansas City. I popped a couple of those immune vitamins, and right away started feeling better. And I never really got totally sick, so I'm really grateful for Onnit.com, ONNIT.com. You love it, huh, Shane?
The makers of Alpha Brain.
Hey, you got one of the kettlebells. Have you been able to start working out yet?
I haven't actually, but you know what I've been using it for?
Huh?
Is the same thing that you were saying earlier, propping up a door.
Oh yeah, they're very good at opening up door stops. I haven't used mine yet either. I'm scared of them.
I knew he was going to say that.
I got a 15-pound, a 25-pound, and 35-pounder here, and you got one over there at your house.
15-pound, yeah.
I don't think the 15-pound is...
Where's mine at?
15 pounds is more than enough weight with kettlebells, man. I'm not kidding.
And I also use it as a paperweight.
Yeah, it's very good to keep the wind from blowing through.
Where's mine at, guys? Come on, I'm ready to get on this kettlebell trip.
The beautiful Talon Woznick just walked in the door. Hey, that's the woman who just became a U.S. citizen. Go buy a gun and get fat.
She gives the same kind of hand motions that my wife does to me all the time.
It's
what the
called...
sh... don't...
Yeah, stop talking.
And so we got one other sponsor.
Hey, that's true love, though, because when you've been married for so long, you just start tuning each other out. So if they're still saying shh, then man, you got passion going still.
Tell us about our other sponsor, Surf News Network, Fawn.
Oh my gosh. Well, if you guys haven't checked out Surf News Network yet, I don't know what you're thinking about, but you should go check it out. Not only do they have pretty phenomenal just surf weather news, swell updates, they also really are good about putting great articles up, and they have some really great stellar photographers that post things, and just the sort of sponsorship that they have and the kind of guidelines they have to get you to go shop at the right place for the right things at the right time, and also to check your local beach break or check out what's going on across the world and see, you know, what's happening and There's got to be surf somewhere because there's no surf in Waikiki right now.
We went out surfing, but you know
Just
what?
Next to your microphone, sorry.
If you want to see what we're looking at outside the BearsWave.com studio, you can go to Surfer News Network and look at their Waikiki cam. It's in my window, looking out over the surf. Well, we're excited. We got my dear friend, Dr. Mac the Knife. Lance Maki is here. He's a former pilot, baby doctor, sex and longevity doctor, and more importantly, tandem surfer. So welcome, Lance. Say aloha.
Aloha.
So you just
And mahalo for letting me come and listen to you and enjoy Hawaii again. And by the way, for those of you that aren't here, that are still back in Florida, the surf is way better than it's been back there for months.
You should have
Hey,
been here yesterday.
say, hey, let's jump into talk story about how we met and how you got into tandem surfing. It's really in your book. What's the name of the book?
The book is Takes Two to Tandem. And I'm going to do a little plug here. I don't know where it went. We have a wonderful publisher in Cocoa Beach, Florida, Paul Malaccio, and it's BlueNoteBooks.com, and you can order it right now. It is not in the final phase. We have a kind of a paper copy here. We're going to have a hardbound coffee table book that'll be available. You can order them right now. Bear's going to sign them. Jacky's going to sign them, and all these famous surfers will sign them.
Where do they order it?
BlueNoteBooks.com, and there's an 800 number there too.
Books.com. What's the 800 number?
It's on my card. Let's see
Somewhere
here.
in there.
1-800-624-0401. 800-624-0401. The triple-W thing, BlueNoteBooks.com.
Well, the reason why I bring that up is because this is a great kind of a... It tells the story about how you got involved in tandem, but what's really cool about it is Jacky Remrey, who's here.
Yeah, let me see.
And we're not going to ask Jacqueline her age, but what's your combined age?
126.
And they're a tandem surfing team, combined age of 126. So that's pretty darn good. And you still look good in a tutu. You're still doing the Nutcracker Suite or what?
Absolutely. I'm in ballet, Galmont Ballet. Our ballet coach, I guess, ballet master is Frank Galvez. He used to dance at the Tropicana in Havana, Cuba in the 70s. They had 164 dancers, and he was one of the two principals. And he's danced with Nureyev, and he's my choreographer. And this year, for the first time, he's giving up his role of Drosselmeyer, and you got two guesses who the new Drosselmeyer is going to be.
Me?
No.
No, Dr. Maki.
You?
Yeah.
Myself,
All right.
and even...
And 2 years ago, you were going to quit. And now you're going to...
Yeah, you want to hear that story?
No, I want to go... Well, yeah, but I want to go into...
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. I have to say something about my grandson, Alex. My grandson, Alex, who is 11, God willing, will be the Nutcracker Prince. He has a full scholarship to the same ballet school.
Cool.
And he just started tonight practicing.
Wow, that's
Wow.
amazing. Ballet is such an amazing sport, you know?
Yeah, and it's Vaganova. If you know ballet, that's the tough one.
Wow.
But tell me about... I was asking you about how you got involved with tandem surfing, and this book really does a great job of telling that because I read the whole thing.
Yeah, nice.
I didn't just look at the pictures. So talk story a little bit about what the first chapter or two talk story about.
Okay, well, the guy sitting to my right, Bear Woznick, who wrote this book, Deep in the Wave, he does the foreword, and he talks about how we met and some things that he actually helped me do. The first part of the book basically tells kind of an interesting story. Do you want me to kind of summarize it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, about 5 years ago, I bought a stand-up paddleboard, actually about 6 years ago. And
The first generation of stand-up paddles.
Exactly. It was Steve Bainey, Infinity Surfboards in Dana Point. And what happened, my wife and I were up at Santa Cruz at Pleasure Point looking at the surf. She hardly goes to the beach with me. But we see this guy on a gondola, and I go, that looks like an idiotic thing. She looks right at me, right in the eye, and goes, Lance, you need to do that. And I didn't even know what it was. And so I checked it out, and about a year later, I ordered a board from Steve. I didn't know who he was.
Right.
The board shows up in Florida. I take it out on a choppy day, and I can't stand for 2 seconds. And I throw the board in the garage, tell my wife, nah, you missed it on that one. She goes, no, you'll be back tomorrow. And she was right. So I slowly started working on it. And about that time, the board had a problem. So I called Steve Bainey to find out.
It was the first generation. They were still figuring things out.
Right.
The hot coat.
The Steve Bainey, by the way.
Yeah, the
Infinity boards.
Yeah, the board basically delaminated in the hot Florida sun. I had it on top of my car in a bag at 110 degrees. And I went out to show one of my friends, and all I could do was smell resin reeking from the bag. And it looked like a pregnant guppy. It was ridiculous. And they said,
Never seen a pregnant guppy. Can you demonstrate it?
I can't demonstrate that one. I can. Never mind. So basically, while we're doing this, just about 2 or 3 days before, I met Bear by phone. We have a mutual friend, Gidget, the real Gidget, Kathy Koner Zuckerman, who I met at a surf contest. Again, it's a long story. You can read it in the book if you like. And I asked her to come back and surf with me in Florida. And she goes, no, Florida's too sharky and California's too cold, but I have an awesome friend in Hawaii by the name of Bear Woznick. I would surf with him anywhere. So she gave me your number.
And you said you met him Bear by phone?
By
I feel
phone.
like that should be your new hotline, Dad. Bear by phone. Do you need advice? Call Bear
by phone. Yeah, there you go. Well, I called Bear by phone. Actually, I talked to Shane, I think, first. And didn't I talk to you?
I don't remember.
I think it was. So you said, oh, my dad's surfing, and he's a CPA, and he may call you back someday. But he did. So we talked.
Well, we were like, I just felt like the minute we started talking, we were like best friends.
Yeah, it was like an instant friendship. And so,
which is good because you don't have any friends.
That's true.
So.
Wait, do you guys have a secret handshake? That's what I really want to know.
We
do. We'll show it to you later.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
It starts like that.
It wouldn't be much of a secret, though. I'm just letting you know.
Yeah, we have to go in the closet.
I will totally copyright it and sell it to the media.
We're closet secret handshake friends. So basically, we're talking about Gidget, and he goes, hey, dude. I don't have too many friends that call me dude, except in the surfing world, but I love it.
But you are Dr. Surfer Dude.
I am.
That's your email.
It is.
I like it.
Yeah, I'll tell you about that if we get around to it. But basically, he goes, you tandem surf? I go, what's tandem surfing? I kind of saw it once. And he goes, we're looking for a guy from the East Coast to come to Florida to surf in the Dukes. Now,
come to Hawaii.
Yeah, in Hawaii.
Yeah.
So 5 years ago, and I said, well, I'll bring my...
6 years ago, dude.
We just got to talk to the hand right there.
Whatever. Anyway, so he's insisting I bring somebody. I said, I'll get my granddaughter. And it was a total joke. I said, I'm joking. And so the next day, he's on the phone. He goes, dude, you're in. I said, dude, I'm in what? He goes, you're in the Duke Ocean Fest and Waikiki. Start practicing. I said, I don't want to be in the Duke Ocean Fest. I'm 60 years old. This is ridiculous. And he says, you're coming. So I told my wife, she goes, that's ridiculous. I tell Gidget, she goes, that is the stupidest thing in the world. And then I tell her who I'm doing it with. She goes, well, Bear's quite the carnival man. So just like you, if anybody can get you to do it, it's Bear.
Right
so do you want to hear the first girl I took out surfing, or you want to?
Whatever you want to do, yeah.
Okay, I'll just keep rolling. So I knew that the girl should be smaller, sort of like Jacky. You know, the girl has to be at least half of your weight,
right,
but preferably not a whole lot more. So I found this girl that my wife worked with, and she looked like the right size. And so I asked my wife, ask her how much she weighs. So my wife asked her, she's like 103 pounds, and I'm around 195 or so. And I said, hey, would you like to go tandem surfing with me and go to Hawaii? And she goes, sure, let's go. So she comes out the next weekend, and I'm on the stand-up board, because you can do tandem on a big old stand-up.
Yeah.
And so we go out. And I said, now what I want you to do is you get in the front part of the board and you stand up and I'll come get you. Which is totally bad technique.
Opposite. Yeah, what you want to do. Yeah.
So she's standing and I come and get her, and there's these two tourists from Ohio staring at us like deer in the headlights, and they're just all happy and cheering and stuff. We don't know what we're doing. We ended up about 2 inches from them. Nobody was hurt. And she's going, this is cool. I'm going, yeah, this is cool. So a week later we go back out. The first day was like 3-inch waves. And we go out. It's
big for Florida.
Big, but it was.
Look out!
It was hurricane size the next weekend because it was 3 foot. And we go out, and she's just petrified. And she goes, "Oh, by the way, I don't know how to swim, and I'm scared of the ocean.
I took someone out tandem surfing yesterday that didn't know how to swim.
Yeah,
It's kind of a shock when you realize that.
So it was quite the experience, and around this time I met Steve Bainey by phone. I didn't know him either, and
The father of tandem. I'm the one who taught me how to tandem.
yeah, just a great guy. He's
All
in
the
the
way
book.
around. Yeah.
He did the intro, and so I called him up about this board that was busted, and I said I met this guy Barry. He goes, yeah, I know Barry. He's a great guy, and I said he invited me to come surfing in Hawaii, and he goes, oh, how long you been tandeming? I go, never. And he goes, you know, it's hard. And I said, I know, but he said he can teach me. And Steve goes, okay, you might want to come to California. So my first real lesson was with Steve and Barry Bainey.
Yeah, they're the ones.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you basically just went through the right channels. You totally got to work with the great right away. That's so cool.
It's sort of how my life story is. I mean, I just kind of serendipitously go around and meet all these cool people.
Amen.
Yeah, and it's just God's kind of blessing. I just am
Totally.
open to different people and different things.
Totally.
And so I met Steve, and he paddled out in his stand-up, and Barry went with me. And I'll save that story for the book because it's a pretty fun.
Oh, it's a
deal.
beautiful story. Tell us.
You want it? Okay.
There's so much more in the book.
All right. Well, basically, my wife and I go out to California. And like I said, my wife is my best friend. We've been married 45 years. Good start.
Wow.
And we might come back around to
And I was at when you said you resaid your vows for the first time or second.
second time,
So we were in Molokai,
5 years ago.
Talon and I, when you
Yep.
said your vows the second time.
Yeah.
Third time or whatever it was. Yeah.
Jackie, it was 5 years ago. I'm not senile.
6 years ago.
I'm 65. I was 60. We've been married 40 years then.
Is this the oldest you've ever been?
Wait, can you draw that out? Because the math's getting rough for me over here.
I know. Well,
I
anyways.
didn't take my alpha brain yet.
So let's see. What was I saying? Oh, so anyway, my wife who says this is crazy, but this is what you do anyways. If somebody says you can't do it, you do it.
That is true.
Yeah.
Amen.
So we fly out.
That's why I got you to do your one arm back.
I know.
I told him not to do it because I knew he would.
Jackie's here, and I'm going to have her tell that story.
Yeah,
because
when we'll get to
that's
that.
a Jackie story.
Yeah, it is a great story about her faith in you. Yeah.
So we go to California. My wife and daughter, Melissa, she's up in Napa. She comes down. They're watching me. They're freezing to death, and we go out. They'd spent about an hour on the beach, showing me the basic lifts, and before you knew it, I mean, Barry's standing on my shoulders. I had no idea how she got there, but she's up there.
And you're on a board in the water.
No, this is on the beach.
On the beach,
On the
okay.
beach. She said, it's time to go out. So we go out, and Steve's on his stand-up. He's just paddling along. It's sort of like, you watch these people on a crew team. He's kind of barking out orders. Okay, do this, do that. Get stable. You need to be higher up on her butt. All these kind of technique things. So we go out there, and a wave comes and goes, catch this one. So we catch it, and, I kind of stumble up, and, I'm wobbling all over the place, and Barry's rock solid, and I go to grab her, and we fall off. And we just crash. I mean, big time crash. And she falls on top of me. And she comes up. And I said, I'm really sorry. She's laughing so hard that she can hardly talk. I said, maybe we should go in. She goes, no, that was fun. Let's do it again. So we went back
Cool.
out. And we caught a couple waves. And then, maybe, I don't know, 3-4 waves later, she goes, okay, it's time for lift. So she basically jumps up and, does a cradle. I didn't do anything. She said, put your arms out and you can catch me. So we do. And we surfed all the way up to the beach.
So explain what a
Wow.
cradle is.
A cradle is, if you can do a cradle, technically you're a tandem surfer. It's
Agreed, yeah.
where you surf and the girl basically, like you're cradling a baby, or a young child. Or
Like when you walk over the threshold with a
I was going to say that. You took the words right out of my mouth. So yeah, it's like taking your bride across the threshold.
Yeah.
And so there she is, in my arms, and we're just surfing, and it was way cool.
And so then you came out, surfed in the Duke Ocean Fest. And
Yep.
Who was your partner that first year?
Anna Manuel.
Oh,
You
yeah,
provided
Anna,
her, yep.
Anna, right. Great girl.
Yeah, it was, I mean, this whole thing is like a fairy tale as I run it back.
Mm-hmm.
My wife came, we landed at the airport. Anna's there. She's got her tandem board on the roof of the car. And so she says hi to my wife. She gives us the lays and all that stuff. And she turns around to Chris. She goes, Chris, do you mind if we go surfing right now? And my wife's going, oh, sure. So we went down to the beach immediately, and we're doing surfing tandem within 15 minutes, maybe an hour and 15 of getting into Honolulu.
And
So,
then-
That's how you got to do it when you land in Honolulu. You got to get in the water right away. It's
Yeah.
like the law.
yeah. precious time. You can't waste.
Yeah,
a second.
you gotta get those. Gotta get that salt water.
So then you surfed in the first Duke Ocean Fest, and then we came right back out with you guys, I think, and did the first Labor Day event.
Right. Yeah, that was another kind of miraculous thing. This happened before I even met this man.
Yeah.
This is so strange. I mean, we know God is behind all this, obviously.
Yeah.
But he calls me up kind of halfway in between me coming and first talking, and he said, I met these girls from Florida the other day. I said, well, that's nice. And he said, I think they're from some island. And I said, yeah. And he said, don't you live on some island? Well, I live on a place called Merritt Island. It's where the Space Center is, where the Kennedy Space Center is. It's a long kind of thing. You wouldn't know it's an island, but it's an island. And he goes, I think the girls might be from there. So he gives me the phone number, and they live like 2 miles away. 2 miles away. And these are the girls that you taught how to tandem.
Well, Eileen and Brenda.
Right.
And Eileen, now with the National Kidney Foundation, she kind of pretty much runs a lot of the event out there. So you know what happened is they were sitting at Duke's restaurant here.
Right.
And I was lifting women on the beach, maybe Talon, I don't know who. And they're like, what is that? And we got to try it. So I took Brenda out. Eileen had hurt her arm. That's why she was there instead of going someplace else for her vacation.
Yeah.
And took Brenda out, and they go, we got to do this in Florida. We were involved with the National Kidney Foundation event in Cocoa Beach over Labor Day weekend. We got to do it. I said, okay, we're there. We'll be there. So we had the Duke Ocean Fest. 10 days later, we flew out for the Labor Day weekend event. But then I'm like, I met this guy, Lance. He's going to come out. He's from somewhere near there. And so it was just beautiful because you were there. Because of you and Eileen and Richard Salek, our beautiful Richard Salek, who's recently passed away. Right. We'll talk more about him. He opened the door. Eileen helped organize it, and you were boots on the ground, and you made. We made tandem surfing history. We brought tandem surfing we did a fun fest, just a fun time out there in Cocoa Beach. And we had good waves. And remember the first day at Cocoa Beach, we paddled out.
I feel like you guys were having like hippie drum circles. Are you guys like dancing around?
No, I think we had.
Having Gidget style drum circles. And,
did you say, what did you say?
Cool
wearing tie-dye.
No, but we were there, and in the first day, the waves were maybe 20 feet long rides, or 30 feet long rides.
Yeah, not too typical.
And then, but we did lifts, and then the next day they were 40 feet, and the next day I think maybe it was maybe 60 feet or 60 yards or something.
They're in that book.
Yeah, but we are able. But the thing is it didn't matter to the crowd. They had never seen anything like it. I think I'd been out there for Dick Catrice once, years before with Mary Osborne. And I'm sure others have been there, but for the most part, that crowd had never seen tandem surfing. And even though it was these short little rides, they went crazy.
Well, they did. We had Crazy Todd, remember?
And Crazy Todd
he was there, climbing trees.
Surfing with my wife.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Surfing with Talon.
Yeah,
and I think I had Crystal Palace with me.
Well, that's what's cool about tandem, though. You know, just yesterday when you were even doing like that small instructional session with that group of people from Italy. It's like people just go gaga for it. They're so excited to watch it. They have no idea what's going on. And they're watching you doing lifts on the beach, and then they're like, now you're going to do this in the ocean? It's just a really beautiful expression to see done every time. It's always, a new thing for people to see when they are just, it's mind-boggling.
The thing about that, too, is we've kind of come full circle now, because that first event at Cocoa Beach, Phil Salek came up with tears in his eyes, and he said, this is the most powerful public relations we've ever had for the event, as far as bringing people's awareness to the cause, which is kidney disease.
Right.
And so now this coming year, you're hosting the World Championship for the International Tandem Surfing Association, which is something I co-founded, and that organization tracks kind of an Olympic track, very professional, very rigorous competition. But we're going back. You and I are doing the BearsWave.com tandem expression sessions, which is like the first thing we did in Cocoa Beach.
Right. So we're going full circle.
But also we're coming back in this sense of we're coming back there specifically not for competition, but to raise awareness again for the Kidney Foundation. That now you and I are becoming more focused on when we're there. People love tandem surfing, and they love it for tandem surfing's sake, but we want to use it for something.
Right, it's not full circle as much as it's the spiral. You know
it's
what I mean?
It's more like a drum circle.
You're kind of traveling the same trajectory, but just in different patterns, different sort of visitations. But it's sort of the same.
We bring all this attention comes to us. Why we don't need the attention? Let's turn the attention to the children on dialysis.
And I want to talk about the NKF for just a second.
Man. I want to talk about it too.
What happened was because of Brenda and Eileen and Bear, it started, and a guy named Dennis Riley, who needs to be mentioned,
Yeah.
because he flew everybody over on buddy passes the
Well,
first time.
as long as he's going to give us buddy passes, we'll mention him.
Well, I think Delta Airlines needs to step up. So let's send this to Delta. They need to sponsor this thing next year.
Hey, Dennis, if you're listening, take good care of my surfboard. It's not a coffee table. And you've got 100 of my Deep in the Wave books coming to your house. I didn't tell you. But make sure they get out of the rain. We need them for the book signing Lance and I are going to do in Cocoa Beach.
Right.
To talk about that.
Yeah, so what happened was I never met Rich Salick, and people ask me, and I'll use my professional term once in this conversation, then you can lose it. Dr. Maki, why are you so interested in the Kidney Foundation? I said, well, I don't have anybody in my family, thank God, that has it. But I know this wonderful man named Rich Salick. And Rich Salick was a professional surfer in the 70s. And he got a disease called glomerulonephritis. He lost both his kidneys. His twin brother, Rich is the guy. Phil, twin brother Phil, gave him a kidney.
Wow.
And it lasted about 12 years.
Well, was it Phil's kidney or someone else's kidney? Phil
No,
gave
it was
him?
Phil's.
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
Actually, what happened was Phil gave him a kidney, and they're twin brothers, so it was a great match. And basically, he went back on the pro surfing tour, the first guy ever to do that. So he went back, and he routinely beat the best guys in the world. Not only was he a great surfer, black belt,
Shaper.
martial art.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Shaped Kelly Slater's first surfboard.
But we talked a lot about that because, my whole family's martial artists, And we talked a lot about leg strength that martial arts gives you. The plyometric exercise and how important it is to have powerful turns, and when you're a shortboarder especially, and tandem surfing. But yeah, he was a surfer, shaper.
Right.
They used to come across. I don't think they were from Cocoa Beach originally. They used to drive
Wisconsin.
across. They would
Wisconsin.
sleep in their
Cool.
car, but they would sleep in their cars.
Right.
And then they started making boards, and then they were Kelly Slater's first sponsor, who was on his way to being the 12th time world champion.
Right. Yeah. But Rich was so aloha. He was the most. And I've met the guys like Clarence Maki who had that same characteristic. That
here in Oahu.
Yeah. But he never complained, and when he was sicker later in life, he had 3 transplants total, all from his brothers, and he was on the list for another one, his 4th. He got cancer about 7 years ago, given a year to live, and he just passed a couple months ago.
But ever since I've known Rich, which is about 6 years or something like that, everyone always says he's not doing that good.
Right.
But he was always, I never could see it in him. He was always had this great attitude. And everybody gravitated towards Rich. When we would go to dinner on Tuesday nights, the meeting after.
Right.
Because we like to go to Florida for the Cocoa Beach contest, and everybody leaves.
Yeah.
And we stay around a few weeks. And then you have the Tuesday night meetings for next year's contest. And Rich is there, and everyone just gravitates around Rich. And he just made it so easy. He could have made it so hard, but he made it so easy. We showed up. He had trophies for us that first year, even though it was a non-official event, and gave us the best waves at the best time of the day for surf at the peak venue. And they made Rich and Phil and you, Eileen and Brenda, made tandem surfing come to life on the East Coast.
Yeah, for sure. He started the NKF surf contest. That's every Labor Day weekend.
Over 800 competitors.
Yeah.
24th year? What is it? How many
27th.
27th year.
27th year this
But
year.
he does a lot more than that. He does golf. He does golf tournaments. And 2 years ago, Talon and I were in Florida. And maybe it was last year, I think it was. Yeah, it was last year we were in Florida. We didn't even come to the event. We came 2 days after the event because we just wanted to miss the circus. And we show up, and then Talon and I take the cruise down to what is that place called? Atlantis, that Bahamas place?
I never went there.
But it's Atlantis or something like that. Really nice hotel. We cruise down there for 3 nights. If you want to have a cheap cruise, go during the hurricane season.
Yeah, that's right.
It's cheaper.
You may not make it back, but
they actually
it's
pay
cheap.
you to go on the cruise
It's
ship.
cheaper than staying at home. We go down to Atlantis, and we come back, and we're staying at the La Quinta Inn just north of the pier in Cocoa Beach.
Beautiful place.
And I asked my wife, hey, you rather go Atlantis or would you like to stay here for a week? If you had your choice, money being the same, I would rather stay at the La Quinta Inn in Cocoa Beach. And we're sitting there in the little tiki bar. Florida's famous for these little tiki bars.
Right.
Just room enough for 8 people, 4 regulars, 4 people from out of town usually. And we look up and we see Phil. I didn't know their offices were right there. Phil's waving down at us. He comes running down past the pier, comes over, sits in the tiki bar, and then we had a 2-hour torrential rain, and it was wonderful because we had just me and Talon and Phil talking story. Rich wasn't there, but we had Phil and just talking story. You know, they're like so much the same.
Oh, they're almost too much. You get the two of those guys together, they're just great. I have a good Rich story, if it's okay.
Oh, it's your mic.
Okay, so basically, Rich and I are the same faith. We're both Catholic, and we had heard that the former president of Notre Dame, Monk Malloy, had given a kidney for his nephew. And Rich had never been to a Notre Dame game. I said, "You want to go?" He goes, "Let me check my calendar," and he was free. So my wife and son flew up, and Rich and I drove up.
When was this?
This was 4 years ago.
Okay.
So we had given them a truck to raffle off, and so we went on a campaign.
Don't just say a truck.
Well, it was a truck.
It was a beautiful red
54 Chevy.
54 Chevy.
Yeah, it was a very nice truck.
Well, that's what I call a truck.
It was a truck.
Yeah.
But so we gave it to them to raise some money. So we went around kind of an awareness campaign. I always try to do things sort of like, Barry, and we combined a couple things. So we drove up, and on the way up, we were in Tennessee, and Rich goes, "Boy, I sure hope we see some critters." I said, "What do you mean critters?" Like deer and stuff. I said, "I hate deer. I've already hit 2 of them in upstate New York when I was up there." I said, "I don't like to see those eyes coming on the road when I'm driving." He goes, "Oh, it's fun." So we saw a bunch of deer. So we go up to Notre Dame, and we go to the game, and we went to Mass, and we met Monk Malloy, and he got to talk to him. We did some stand-up, and basically...
Stand-up paddling.
Stand-up paddle surfing, yeah.
Where?
I did all 5 Great Lakes. As far as I know, I'm the only guy to paddle surf all 5 Great Lakes. For that matter, all 5 Great Lakes.
I'm sure you are, yeah.
So basically, there's a picture of me and Rich in New Buffalo, Michigan, Lake Michigan, standing at the shore. And I wave goodbye to him. He flies back to Florida, and my wife and my son Mike and 3 surfboards on top of the car head up to what they call the UP, or the Upper Peninsula, Michigan. So we're driving up. I'm from Michigan originally, by the way. We're driving up near the tip, and it's about 11 at night. We're on I-75 going 75 miles an hour, and I see these twinkling lights come from the right side of the car. And so I turn to the right, slam on the brakes, and kapow. The moonroof goes out, the back door goes out. My wife had just had back surgery, by the way. And the airbags deploy, and the screaming stops, and I pull her out of the car, and everybody's fine. And so I walk to the back. The car smelled like it was going to blow up, and there's a truck that saw the whole thing from behind us. And he said, "Are you guys okay?" I said, "Yeah, we're fine." And I said, "That was the biggest deer I've ever seen." He goes, "Son, you hit an elk."
It's like
wow.
1,000 pounds, right? Wow.
So it
You're
was
a good shot.
Yeah,
did the elk walk away, or
we did, but I mean, no, the elk did not walk away.
Okay.
No, the elk, he went to his home.
But it makes me hungry.
Did you eat it?
No, we didn't. Well, we were a little sore the next day. We had to rent a car, but we finished our trip. Yep.
That's the same as hitting a car.
praise God that you guys were safe, because
if it would have been half a foot more, we wouldn't be talking right now. If it had been a couple foot more, the whole family would be gone.
Yeah, it sounds like your guardian angels were working overtime that day.
Absolutely.
He actually has 2 or 3.
I do.
Lance does.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Very lucky.
Just pass him my number just in case.
And so that's our beautiful friend Richard.
Yeah, so I called him up right away. I said, "Rich, thanks for your critters. I know you jinxed me," and we had a great laugh. I mean, that's kind of how it was. You go through this adversity, but you survive, and you just talk about the good times. You survive the bad, and Bear and I have talked about this guy, Rich Warren, that wrote The Purpose-Driven Life. Talks about life not as a series of hills and valleys, but being on 2 railroad tracks, one being good, one being bad, and balancing between the two, and then going through the hills and valleys. And
the middle path. That's what Buddha talked about, the middle path. Yeah.
So that was Rich, and he passed away just a little bit ago, a couple months ago. So
this event's going to be a big.
This is going to be huge. This is going to be huge.
So what I wanted to ask you about is, then you go back to Florida, and then how do you and Jacky hook up as a team?
Okay.
Tell us about the one-arm backstory. Right?
Okay.
Did Jacky want to come sit with us?
Yeah, come on, Jacky.
Introduce her for us.
This is a great friend of mine, Jacky Remrey. And again, we're not going to give her age away. Just like I'm not going to tell you my wife's age, but she's 10 days older than me. And so we are at this NKF event.
National Kidney Foundation,
Correct.
Cocoa Beach.
And I had gotten back from Florida, and I couldn't keep surfing with Anna because she was about 6 time zones away.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife said, "Are you going to keep doing this?" I said, "Absolutely." She goes, "All right, fine." And we're at this thing, and she goes, "There's your tandem partner right there." We didn't even hardly know her. And so I walked up to Jacky, and I said, "Jacky, I'm Lance." And she goes, "Yeah, I think I met you once." And I said, "Do you want to tandem surf with me?" And she goes, "What's that?" I said, "I'll come and talk to you tomorrow, and I'll show you what it is." So, Jacky, you want to take it from there?
Well, he showed up at my home, and he said, "How much do you weigh?" And I'm thinking, I had a really good dinner last night. Let's see. Anyway, he said, "I'm going to pick you up, and I'm going to set you on my shoulders." And next thing I know, I'm up on his shoulders, and I put up my arms and went, ta-da! And I became a tandem
your life
girl.
is ruined.
But you're missing an important part, because you said, "I have to pray about it."
Yes. I said, "Give me a day or two to think about this, and I need to pray about it." And when I called him, I said, "Well, I saw your card, your hand cradling this baby." And I thought, well, you can cradle that baby, you can cradle me.
Yep.
So I agreed, and by the grace of God, we keep going. We crash and burn, we get up and go again, but we're smiling. If anyone's out there having fun, it's Lance and I.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm going to get to the one arm back thing in a second. But what happened, we came back to Hawaii. First time I ever heard Jacky. We had done a lift at the Dukes, and we both have our arms up kind of in the form of a cross.
It was beautiful. That picture is such a unique picture. Is it in the book?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing a lift, and I think the lift is over, and
The
her
lift
arms
is
are out
over.
to the side. And
We
your
have
hands
no
are above your
momentum
head,
at all. We're just standing on
but
the
it looks
board.
like a cross.
And it's just, it looked like a cross. And we were like the Esther Williams synchronized swimmers. Jacky went to the right. I went to the left. Being that I weigh twice as much as Jacky, the board went to the right and whacked her right in the head. And
I looked because I was worried. I saw that happen.
Yeah.
I went over there right away, and the board was okay.
Yeah, the board was
Yeah.
okay. But there was blood pouring from Jacky's head, and she goes, "We got time for one more wave." I said, "Jacky, there's, head injuries are kind of bad. They look bad."
Mm-hmm.
And so she goes, "Let's go back out." I said, "No, we shouldn't." And we go back out there and said, "Get out of here." So we go back to the beach. Clyde Acow and other famous surfers picked her
Shane
up.
used to work for him.
And they say, "You go," and they give me the motion away, and they kind of tend to her, and they give her all this loving
They don't
care.
know you're a doctor.
Yeah, that's okay. They thought I was the bad, mean guy that hurt her, and so they say, "Go across the street to the Princess Keilani," and she only needed a steri strip, a little Band-Aid, but it was a great story. And she told all her friends what a mean guy she surfed with.
And that was the first time I ever competed in anything.
Yeah.
And that surf trip with you, and been doing it ever since. However, come the next year, Lance has this tattoo he decided to get on his leg.
This one here with the one arm back, right?
That's
It's in the book right here.
The one that
Clyde, right?
everybody wants.
Is that it?
That's it.
Here's Clyde taking care of Jacky in the book. Yeah.
Yes.
Clyde, look at his face. He always has that expression.
He's always got a scowl, right?
He's always like,
We're gonna get Clyde on the podcast soon.
yeah.
Yeah, the tattoos we got that tattoo the day before we did our 40th anniversary vows in Molokai. And we actually rode down to the leper colony, and I had this bull rider grind it out on my leg, and then you guys came over for the ceremony the next day.
You had who do the tattoo? A bull rider?
A bull rider, and he
Molokai.
He tattooed like a bull rider. He was like, but
Yeah, people don't know how precious Molokai is to
Yeah.
me
No,
and
I know.
all my kids.
I know.
Yeah.
He was the only tattoo artist they said on Molokai.
Yeah,
according
unless you
to
wanted
what-
to do it with the shark tooth. the old
Maori
school way,
style.
yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. So anyway,
It's just like Jacky.
it does.
Yeah.
It does. It's me and Jacky. We got all kinds of crazy stories.
So, but you show up, you're going to surf in the event the next day.
Yep. And basically, I told Jacky when I came back with a tattoo, we have to do that lift or I have to laser it off my leg. And Jacky goes, "You're kidding." I go, "Well, kind of, but not really." So
Well, and this is the
that was our
year.
goal.
This is a year too that I had anchors put in my shoulder, some knee surgery, and all this. And
Not because of me.
no, none of it in regards to tandem surfing.
But so Lance has come talking story to me before the heat, and I kind of did the thing,
you
reverse,
said
the
no, we
reverse,
couldn't do
the
it.
reverse psychology thing. Because anybody who's been a fighter, who's been a pilot, who's been a doctor, tandem surfer, how many times have people told you can't do something and you do it?
All my life. All
Yeah.
my life.
So you rise to the occasion. You guys paddle out and
Yeah. Don't say we can't do it.
tell us.
We may not be able to do a cradle, but we can do a one-arm back.
Tell Lance what you told him before you paddled out.
Well, that we were going to do it, had to, because it was on his leg, and we tried to catch the first wave. We did not do what we thought we were going to do. We started paddling back out, and Lance says, well, let's do a different lift. And I said, well, absolutely not. We are going to do the one-arm back.
It's a hard lift.
And Jacky, you could tell, is, very nice and doesn't say a whole lot, but she looked at me with fire in her eyes. She goes, Lance, we're doing that lift.
Yeah.
And I'm going, okay, Jacky, we'll do the lift.
Explain what the lift is, Jacky. How does it lift low?
Excuse me?
Explain to everyone what one-arm back is.
The girl just goes up and blooms and arches back and looks at heaven, and it's just beautiful.
He's got you by the small of the back.
Yes.
And you're arched over that.
Yeah.
Over his hand.
Holding one leg, and you just go up, arch back, and if you're...
What's it like when you're in a lift like that, when you're surfing down a wave?
It's a rush. It's fun. It's
1 foot in heaven, you
yeah,
said.
that's it.
How do you
Yes.
describe it to your
Yeah.
grandchildren?
Well, they just look at my grin on my face, and it says it all. So,
I think it says it all too. Grandma and Grandpa out there
Yeah.
Yeah.
tandem surfing.
Yeah.
It's radical. It's, because you're leading by example.
yes.
You're showing them, not telling them.
And, one of
To
the
go
things
for it.
that they teach you in ballet, which we started doing after that, about a year or so after that, is it's like the girl has a string on her head pulling straight up.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'll tell you, that day, it was like God had the string, because Jacky felt like she weighed 3 ounces, and she just shoots on up, and there she is, and I'm going, 1, I'm counting. And
Because you got to hold for 3 seconds
yeah,
for it
I
to
counted
score,
for
right?
6. I counted
Yeah.
for 6, and then I put her
Just
back
in
down on
case
the
they
board.
don't see it, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
And so, unlike the year before where we had the little slip thing, she comes right back to the board, light as a feather, and we just could not believe it. We're going, wow.
Well, and we always do say a little prayer once we get out. That's one thing we've always done. We paddle out. We say a little prayer before we start surfing. And I said, Lord, if you want to put angel wings on me today, that'd be all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. They've fallen off once or twice since, but they seem to keep reappearing at the right moment.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot of time. I want to give you just my perspective on Jacky, and then I want her to share. As you know, I said earlier, my wife and I have been married 45 years. We're best friends. My wife is very unique because she trusts me to surf with a woman and go different places without her being there to chaperone. My wife actually takes care of Jacky as a patient.
She does.
We have this very special relationship. They're very good friends, Jacky and Chris. And there's a lot of people that will say different things, like, oh, I wonder what's going on there. But there's none of that. And we're athletes. We perform. We do the best we can. And we just have a great time. But it's just that. We're 2 people on a surfboard, inspiring, hopefully, other people to do things as you get older.
And that's it, that we show, that we inspire and promote that a man, a woman can work together, train together, and be very respectful, professional, and
And you guys have such a story to tell, too, about...
Can I just butt in for a second? I think it's really important to show the world that men and women can be friends. It's a really important
Yes.
thing and a
Yes.
really important alliance. And, especially when you have a partner and stuff, that you're married to, it's really important to keep cultivating, friendships, and helps
Yeah.
give you perspective.
Yeah, I don't know if you mentioned what kind of doctor I am. I'm an OBGYN doctor by training. I still deliver babies. That's my main job. I call it my night
Yeah,
job.
right. But I want to talk about. Go ahead.
I
Shane.
think what Fawn said, like I think that's one of the attractions to tandem. You know, when people see it, they're like, "Oh, this is like man and woman working together."
Well, it's a very close, intimate sport.
It is.
I mean, as far as
Physicality.
viewing it,
Right.
and you just want people to see the art, the beauty of it, what you're doing. You're basically dancing on waves.
Yeah. Ballet on a board. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the guy, you couldn't do it without the woman, and the woman couldn't do it without the guy. It's
Right.
it's a beautiful illustration of the man. Kind of, I always say it's like there's an instinct in men, ancient DNA, that they want to protect a woman,
Sure.
and there's also an ancient sort of visceral thing in men that they want to uplift a woman, whether it's in the olden days, uplift financially or uplift. We used to put women on a pedestal type thing. There's an instinct in man to lift a woman, not just physically. And then there's the instinct in a woman. I think women have gone so far in developing, in the last 30 or 40 years as women, being more independent and establishing their new role. But men have kind of lost their way in a way.
Men don't know how to be real men anymore in
so-
some circumstances.
And so what happens is that the woman gets to trust in a man, right? So, and I think a woman wants to be able to trust a man, right? And because of that, the man gets to express his power, his ability to protect, his skill, his agility, and the woman gets to express her power, display her beauty, and it's because they can both work together and trust each other. It brings out the best in both of them. And so tandem surfing, definitely people see that when they watch it, people experience it when they do it. Yeah. And we got my good friend Don might be coming in here. Biker Don might be coming in a little bit.
Okay.
But I wanted to talk a little bit because what you mentioned, and Fawn, you can step into the mic, I think now.
Thanks, Jackie.
Because Jackie,
Oh,
you
you're
brought
welcome.
it. Thank you, Jackie. You brought up the subject of
Thanks.
The one thing
the
before
age.
Jackie goes, you cannot see this on the podcast, but Jackie always has the most beautiful smile. And if you look at the book, even when we're crashing, she's still got a smile on her face.
Yeah, I think,
She's like
I
the
think even when her head was had that blood coming, the blood coming out. She
Yeah.
was still
Yeah.
smiling.
It's amazing what choosing to choose joy through everything does for you,
Can you
and
say that again? Explain that, what you mean.
just, regardless of what's happening, choosing to have joy in the situation is just phenomenal. What it can do, not just for you, but for everyone around you,
That's our technical glitch. That's the doctor, Maki, destroying his microphone.
hands have fallen.
Wow, you are smiling. That's
Yeah.
awesome shot.
So, I think we've learned a lot in tandem surfing that I've seen women go out with guys and they have a wipeout and they can have a way of just kind of eviscerating the man by, we fell and, just their attitude. Or there's a woman that can just, like Barry Bainey did the first time Lance took him out. Sorry, I'm getting a text message here from Moses Paskowitz.
Focus.
I just always uplift and encourage each other, for both partners to just do that. So I want to talk a little bit about your medical practice. We don't want to go too far into that, but you're doing some pretty interesting stuff medically.
Mm-hmm.
Can you introduce us a little bit to that?
Sure.
And by the way, can you repeat your website again where people can reach you if they wanted to talk to you more about this?
About my medical practice?
Yeah.
Sure. I have two. They're kind of the same. We have MakiMD.com. If you go MakiMD.com, you'll find us. We have actually changed our identity to Florida Sexual Medicine, or Sexual Medicine Florida, rather, and Sexual Medicine California, and maybe someday Sexual Medicine Hawaii. And what that is, if you've seen the recent movie with Meryl Streep and Tommy Lee Jones,
I've seen the
Oh yeah, what's that
previews.
movie going to be called?
Hope Springs, it's out. It's awesome.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's kind of been an evolutionary thing. When we started doing what Bear calls longevity medicine or functional medicine, we realized that when you start balancing the man or the woman individually, that you don't always get the partner involved. And so,
Right.
for example, we see a lot of people that are 30s, 40s, 50s, our age and older. As you get older, things get out of balance. One of the things that happens is your hormones get out of whack, or your spiritual life gets out of whack, or your physical, ability to do things gets out of whack, or you eat poorly, or whatever. So we become unbalanced. And when we go to balance one side of the equation, whether it be the man or the woman, you have to bring the other side around, or you can have problems.
Right.
So
hormones seem like such I mean, hormones just, I know that they're really important, and they just seem so overwhelming to me when people start talking about hormone therapy. And I know a lot of women, have gone through a lot of crazy different hormone treatments, and it sounds so cool what you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't want to get too medical here, but basically about 10 years ago, there was a study called the Women's Health Initiative.
Right.
They used the wrong medication, the wrong doses, the wrong application. It still is pretty good what they do. And if you look at those studies that were flawed, they used the wrong drugs, etc. But out of that came a lot of subsequent good findings. And basically, we have an expression in our office. It goes like this. Basically, our hormones don't decline because we age. Rather, we age because our hormones decline.
Yeah.
And you have to balance the 3 sex hormones. Men, women have the same. Progesterone for a woman is the first one to leave. It's called perimenopause. Around 35, women start losing their progesterone. It's the happy hormone, the hormone of pregnancy. That's where the name comes from. The next one is estrogen, and the last one is testosterone. Women crucially need testosterone, about the 10th of the dose as men do, but it's still very vital for lots of different things. Libido being one of them, or a desire for intimacy. And in men, it's kind of the reverse. Men need testosterone. Of course, Bear talked about the man and what our role in life is. And then we also have estrogen and we have progesterone. As men get older, a man at 54 actually has more estrogen than a woman at 54.
Wow, I never knew that.
Unless you replace the hormones. So, there's changes there that aren't, people go, well, you just want to do it naturally. Well, fine, but is it natural to have that happen?
Right, it seems like people talk so much about like adolescence, but then there's like this whole other change that human beings go through later in life that people don't talk about.
Right. And I really actually, when I first got into this, struggle with the idea, because I thought, well, we all have to get old, and we all have to die. It's the life cycle. You're going to get older, you're going to die. And so by changing things or prolonging life, is that good? And then I realized probably 15 years ago that yes, it was good, because if I'm old and I can't get around and I have no elasticity and my brain's not working, you're only as young as your oldest body part. So if your brain is old, or your joints are old, or whatever is old, you're going to be that old.
Right, and your body's a temple, right? I mean, that's where it's at.
Right. So if you preserve those functions, however you do it, not in an illegal way, but in a good way, you're going to do better for yourself, and you're going to be able to give back to your fellow man, your grandkids, your kids, and everybody else. So it's all good.
Amen.
Yeah, so that's what we started doing. Being an OBGYN, I see a lot of men, because I've been trained, board certified, and they call it anti-aging medicine. I don't like that term. I prefer functional or rejuvenation medicine. Our practice up until recently was called restoration medicine. We thought that was a good term, but people didn't pick up on that as much. And then with time, we realized that our forte was really keeping couples together. And we have a lot of great stories. I'll just give you one. We have a guy and a man and his wife. He's 40s. I can't say what he does for a sport, but he is a professional athlete. And he came to me because he thought his testosterone was a little low. And so we did lab tests, and it was. So we replaced that. And I asked him, well, how's the sex? And he goes, oh, I'm fine. I'm a man. Of course I'm good.
How could you ask me that?
Yeah. He looked like an NFL player, right? And I said, okay, sorry, dude. Sorry I asked, but I have to ask everything. I ask very, very personal questions. And once they get to know me, they become more honest. And so about 6 months later, his wife comes in and sees my wife. My wife's a women's health nurse practitioner. And this woman looks like a bodybuilder. She's a fitness trainer. And so she had a lot of issues. And my wife fixed her. And about 6 months after that, they both came to see us as a couple. And they said, you guys saved our marriage. Because we used to think we had this chemistry when we were 20. Then we got to be 40. We thought it was gone and maybe we should just move on. but it wasn't that at all. We just were a little low and unbalanced.
That's
And-
really cool.
So we do the hormone thing. We also do, we work very closely with psychologists, sex therapists, physical therapists. They're highly specialized people. The key is that we spend a lot of time. My wife spends an hour first visit.
Cool.
And
So what type of treatments is it? Is it like pill and pill form, or is it?
well, I don't really want to get into
Or is
all
it
that.
certain
Right.
types of foods you eat?
Yeah, well, it's all of the above.
Holistic
All of
sounds
the above.
like.
Yeah, I mean, certainly when it comes to the sex hormones, we replace those, and
Right.
they're called bioidentical. Big pharma is now making them. The big pharmaceutical companies objected, but then they realized that they really work, so now they're
Like,
making them.
This is a good market.
Yeah, so they are doing that now. But it's a combination of things, Shane. I mean, you balance the hormones, you look at the thyroid, you look at the cortisol, you look at stress. I mean, some people will say that 90% of all disease is related to stress, so you try
Right.
to work on modulating
Talk
that.
to us about that. About
Say again?
How do people deal with stress?
Well, very poorly, unfortunately. They should go surfing.
Yeah. Amen.
I have a slogan in my book. I've been using it for years. It's fear is useless, faith is needed. Hey, let's go surfing. And I think Rabbit said this in the movie Surfing for Life. Have you seen that?
Yeah, we were just with Rabbit
Yeah,
this
we were
morning,
just
by
with
the
him
way.
this
morning.
He's going to be on our podcast next week.
Oh, cool. Well, there's a surf club I still belong to in the Bay Area.
Greg's
Greg Cochran's club. It's called the Pedro Point Surf Club. I'm still a member, and one of their members, Roy Ernest, made a movie that had Doc Ball, Rabbit Kekai, Woody Brown, all
Great
these,
movie.
all these older guys. And in the movie, Rabbit says, "Yeah, whenever I get all stressed off, my wife goes, go surfing. You'll be better when you get back." So that's one of the primary things we actually prescribe to our patients. I will write a prescription, go down, buy a stand-up board, and come back and see me in 2 weeks and hook them up with an instructor.
Well, it's like we have a lot of listeners that live all over the country, and maybe they don't have accessibility to surf. But I feel like what you're saying is find something that you love in life and do it.
Well,
Or how about swimming? Swimming, I feel like you get the same effect. If you just get in the water, I feel like that's
absolutely.
one of the main things.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to make a surfer out of everybody. My wife keeps telling me that. I finally
Get out
got
of
her
the
on a
lineup.
stand-up board. But if you haven't been to the East Coast recently or the Midwest, I mean,
They're doing it everywhere.
I was in Michigan, and they have these clubs.
So cool.
I was on the Hudson River, and they're doing stand-up paddling.
Yeah, no,
in New York
stand-up is taking
2 weeks
over.
ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's something just about anybody can do in the river. Ocean's a little harder. You got to work harder at it.
We had Jim and Jennifer from Chicago. We're in Wisconsin on a stand-up contest.
Right.
And that's where their son found my book.
Wow.
And they contacted me, and we took them out stand-up paddling here 2 weeks ago. But they had never been on the ocean. I've never been with people that on a surfboard, a stand-up board, who didn't learn on the ocean. They were stand-up paddlers from lakes.
Right.
And
So
I took them
cool.
out for the first time and took them out on the ocean, but I'd never experienced that before.
Well, I think the whole idea, ocean is very calming, but you don't have to be, even near the water to be balanced. But you have to have mind, body, spirit. You got to have all three
Right, you gotta have that
tuned up.
physical exertion.
Yep, and you do need that physical exertion. As you get older, you get very inflexible, I'm not saying everybody should take ballet. That's been the most awesome gift that I just ran into. I never danced until I was 63,
That's awesome.
but it's fun. I love it.
So cool.
Jackie takes ballet. She loves it too.
What
And
about the sleeping part you mentioned?
the sleeping?
Yeah, I always just thought 6 hours was enough for me. I get up at 4:30, but I'm beginning to realize. I was listening to who's that podcast we heard the other day on Joe Rogan? Who was the guy that was on there? Rob or the paleo diet guy?
10 to 8 hours of sleep is like the best.
Yeah, get at least to get 8 hours. It's a huge
I
impact.
know.
to
I
sleep.
always count my hours when I wake up. I look at the watch and I go, "Oh, how many hours I get?" And I know exactly how much energy I'll have for the day.
Talk about that. I mean, the importance of sleep.
I love.
Well, yeah. I mean, I have a very weird job. My night job. I may go to the hospital and work 1 or 2 days in a row. I've even worked 3 in a row without leaving. The call room is like being in Las Vegas. There's no windows, but the beauty is you can sleep whenever you have a break. So I do a lot of cat naps, and so in the course of being there for 3 days, I probably get 24 hours of sleep. I get up at 3 in the morning, go see some patients, go back to bed. I think quality of sleep is huge. I think you have to be able to fall asleep. A lot of people can't. I mean, again, there's a lot of hormonal issues here.
Yeah.
But yeah, sleep is totally important. Totally important. But balance is. I mean, you got to eat the right foods. You know, and people. The sad thing, and I don't ever like to be negative, but the sad thing is people don't put the time and the money into their own personal well-being. And if they would just take the time and recognize that a few dollars spent here and there are invaluable. We stopped taking...
And time.
Yeah, time, absolutely.
Time. Give us 10 things. You're going to write a prescription for me. What would be
For
the
you?
10
I already
things
did. You forgot it.
No, I do.
One is improve your memory.
No, but give us
Step
the 10,
1, remember this list.
What would be the 10
Like
things
more
that you would tell
alpha
people?
Okay, not in order of importance
Yeah.
necessarily. I'm just... And by the way, you know, I've been on an airplane since forever. We just literally...
You still look good, though.
You're a pilot. You should be able to
He's
handle
following
that.
his own advice, I guess.
Yeah, well, I tried to do. We got up at, 3 this
It's
morning.
1 in the morning, your time.
Yeah.
You've been up for 20 hours.
Psychedelic reality.
We can do it. Anyway, basically, in no order of necessarily importance, number one, and Bear and I, by the way, when we're here, we go to church every day, and that's really important. So
Starting off at 7 in the morning.
whatever
with
your
mass
brand
helps.
is,
Yeah.
we happen to be Catholic, but it doesn't matter at all. You just have to have some kind of faith base. That's critical. We live in a crazy world, and if you don't have something that keeps you strong, how can you do it? I don't understand people that don't have some kind of faith base. So I think that's very, very important. Balance is a term that I like to use. You have to balance everything. My grandfather was a carpenter from Finland, and every night he would have one cigarette, one. And he lived a long time. You know,
Yeah.
he'd have a glass of wine once, but you know, if you could have one cigarette a night, it probably wouldn't be all that bad. Now that's, you know, like, sacrilege for a good doctor to say, but he had balance there. He knew his limits, okay?
Right, and everyone's body can take... I mean, some people couldn't take that.
Right.
Some people that would kill them, but some people's constitution can take something like that.
Can you? I don't want to take this too far away from the conversation.
Yeah, let's...
But I wanted to ask you a little bit about.
You want the other 8?
Yeah, go ahead, and then I want to ask about gluten.
Let me-
Back to the remember
I want to
stuff.
ask about
Let me just
gluten.
whip out
I wanna
8
ask
more.
about gluten when he's
Yeah,
done with the 10.
I'll whip out 8 more. I think as you get older, flexibility is huge. You know, we have another expression in our office. You know, you're getting old when the only thing in the morning that's stiff is your back. You know, that kind of has to do with testosterone, which works. For men, that's probably the best drug. I would say for men, start replacing your testosterone when it gets low. It's just huge. My dad
How
broke
do you
his
do
hip.
that? How do you do that?
We do labs.
You have to. You would go to a doctor to
Yeah, doctors are
prescribe
good.
testosterone. Okay.
Yeah, I try to stay away from doctors, but you know, every once in a while they're okay.
Does that mean you don't
I
look at yourself in the mirror, though?
I try not to look at the mirror.
But doesn't sleep and lifting weights, using your legs, does that build testosterone too, or is it?
It
you
does.
Need medical help at some point. You need.
Yeah,
to
at some point. And, you know, I think Jack LaLanne might have been the exception, but most men at a certain age, men go through the same kind of thing that women do. It's called andropause. Women go through menopause. Men start about the same age, 35. The hormone just starts creeping
God, I've
away.
never heard that before.
Yeah, you know, about 1% a year. So women, progesterone's huge, and they go to their doctor, and the doctor goes, "Well, here's a Prozac or Paxil, you know, some antidepressant, which screws everything up. If they had a little bit of progesterone, they might be just fine." So I think hormone balancing is good. I think eating right. You talked about gluten, but you got to figure out what's right for you. Not everybody does well on a gluten-free or a
I'm
paleo.
going on 7 years of being gluten-free.
Yeah. It's good.
And it worked for me.
Yeah, I mean, that's the key. It's an individual thing. I know there's a lot of companies that come out every week with, this is the ideal diet for you. They charge you a whole bunch of money. I hate to say I have not found the perfect thing yet. I've tried the Paleolithic. I've tried the gluten-free. I've tried the beef and bourbon a long time ago. I'm just kidding.
I think that's called American diet.
But I think eating right, I think especially if we're going to talk about diet, it's portion control. If you go back and look at what you got at McDonald's back in the 50s when I was a kid, you know, the cups were like 6 ounces. And I still have a Coke once in a while. Oh, he's a doctor drinking Coke or Pepsi. I got to say Pepsi because it's what my uncle owned. But, every once in a while I have a Pepsi. But what do I have? I like those little 6 ounce, 8 ounce. I might have one a week. It's cool. Feels good. It's not a big deal. Again, balance. What you eat, your relationships, the people you choose to hang out with are critical. You don't want to hang out with a bunch of, people that are always negative because then it rubs off in the wrong way. So that's why I like hanging out with Jacky and Bear and other people that are they're positive people, and that's important. Family, huge. Whoever your family members happen to be, a lot of times it's sad. You see people in the families, they start, fighting all the time, and I think that's the evil person trying to make things not so good. But you just have to restore that good, family spirit, whatever that happens to be.
Yeah,
Ohana.
I totally believe that. Like our family, we went through some rough times, but now we're just like so close, and it's really, it heals me. I can just see it in my whole family. They've been healed. It's just great.
Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta, go through some things to get to the good stuff. But in every journey, the hero has to go through something hard to get to that next point. And thankfully, we've all come out, on the other side, and we all really like each other.
That's good. It's an amazing.
It's fun.
I know that, and sometimes in families that things don't go well, but you just keep trying.
Right.
I think it's very important to give back. Crucial to give back. We're all blessed with different things, and those of us that have more than others. I'm not saying give everything away and live in a cardboard box, but if you have something, I think it's very important to go share your gifts with other people that are less fortunate. My wife and I have done mission trips. We've gone to Haiti, and very rewarding. You love it when you get home, but you don't have to go to Haiti to do something good. My wife goes crazy. I see some guy in the corner with a sign, and a lot of times I'll give these guys money, and she goes, "You're just giving it away. They're going to go buy drugs." Well, in my heart, if they do, that's their choice. But I don't mind helping people. So I guess maybe that's not 10, but that's probably enough.
It sounds like when you boil all those things down, it just reminds me, of like love your neighbor as yourself. It's like love your neighbor, take care of the people around you, whether that's your family or your friends or strangers, but love yourself and take care of your own body,
Because you're taking care of a human being, a person that's living, that has a soul, and like if you do that and you help someone out, it's gonna come back at you even if you don't know about it. Good stuff's gonna come, karma.
Yeah.
Good karma will come to you,
And just reminded me of something. I started medical school when I was 37 years old. I finished my residency when I was 45.
Wow.
And so now I'm 65, and I had this goal to quit. I'll be too old to deliver babies at 65, and I almost kept trying to run away from that job, and I realized that God gave me this wonderful gift to get into medical school. Again, I got in against all odds. Long story, but I got in against all odds. I made it through residency. I'm not dumb, but I didn't do the right things in undergrad. I had a pathetic GPA, and I kind of fought back and got in. But I realized that I was, giving, up or trying to give up something that God had given me that He didn't want me to do. And just the other day, some woman came in. She'd never seen a doctor. She was seizing. We saved her life. I ended up spending 2 days with her in the ICU. I haven't done that for a while, but there's no intensivist there, so I took care of her. And I left the hospital going, boy, I'm sure glad I'm still doing that. I saw her in a wheelchair 2 days later getting ready to leave the hospital. And I said, "You know who I am?" She goes, "No." I said, "No, I took care of you." And the family member said, "This guy saved your life." I go, "Yeah, it's okay." But I think you should do what you do best, whatever it is.
Right.
When I'm at work, we have a lot of people from Haiti, housekeepers and stuff. Always, say hi to them. They're people too.
That's
you don't
right.
know what their situation is. So,
That's right.
Really try to appreciate everybody, whatever lot they're in, and don't make fun of anybody.
That's right.
It's hard.
You don't know by looking at someone what battles they're facing.
No, you
sometimes
don't.
I'll go into a ABC store and the person in front of me, come on, hurry up, it's my turn. I want to get in front of. I want to get your payment over. I got to get out of here. And I begin to think, who knows what battles that person is facing in their life, and who knows their whole life story. And you know what? God looks down on them and loves them.
Right.
And they've had a whole life history, and they're someone's child, and they have children, and
We're supposed to approach people with loving kindness.
Aloha, like Duka Hanamoko.
That's right. That's right.
I have a good friend. He passed away, and it kind of brought me into the wellness thing. By the way, I don't think you ever met him. His name was Chris Razda. I call him an Omer. He was a Buddhist, acupuncture, Chinese medicine. Probably the best surfer I ever known. He'd do the pipe.
That's right.
Better than me?
Better
than me?
Yeah.
Okay.
But he didn't do tandem, so you got him there.
Right.
And we were surfing one day, and I was Cocoa Beach.
Okay.
Down at the Air Force Base, and it was just me and Chris, and we were walking out. And I said, I got to go to work tonight. And he looked at me and goes, Lance, are you helping people? I said, yeah. And he goes, so stop complaining.
Yeah, you get to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you just have to count your blessings. And again, it doesn't matter what your faith base is. I never try to put my views on anybody else, but I think you have to realize, whatever you want to call it, the golden rule, or, just taking care of other people the way you want to be treated, with respect and dignity. We have a beautiful earth, and people forget that.
Well, I think it's so cool that both of you guys have recently written a book, and both of them are out and getting published right now. Don't forget, guys, to check out Deep in the Wave by Bear Woznick with Lou Aronica, and also your book, It Takes Two to Tandem. And will you tell me the name of the publishing company again?
Blue Note Books, and they're at BlueNoteBooks.com. I've got to say something about Paul Malaccio, who was the guy that put this together. This was done fairly quickly, by the way. I wasn't going to get it done on time. Rich passed. I said, I've got to do it. My wife almost killed me on our week vacation in New England because I did a lot of that. And when we got near the end, Paul looked at me and goes, Doc, you came in, it's like you threw a jigsaw puzzle on the floor, and I had to figure out what to do with it. I sent him like 200 emails. There's almost 300 pictures in the book, and they're all, cross-referenced. So thanks. Yeah.
And we did a lot in the last a month. Yeah. When I was in New York promoting my book, you were buttoning up your book, so I did. Yeah. You were sending me who's this person? And
I was going, who is this person?
I got to write the foreword for your book, which is a real honor to me.
That's great. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff in there.
Well,
I want to ask you.
It's been an hour and 12 minutes.
Yeah, we're going to go a little bit longer. Hey, will you ask me about my book, Fawn?
Yeah, I mean, did you get a chance to read it yet?
No.
Yes, I did.
Oh, cool.
You got my book?
That's awesome.
I don't have. Wait. Now I've touched the book. I got it on my iPad. I've actually modernized.
Gosh, you're so modern.
Did you actually read part of it? Or?
I have not read it like you're supposed to read a book that a friend wrote, like word by word. I have skimmed the whole book. I've looked at different parts.
Yeah.
But
that's
yes,
awesome.
I've been through the book.
Yeah. That's so
but
cool.
Don't quiz me on it. I'll miss a couple
what
questions.
was on page 37, paragraph
37. He was being towed in, and Big Crazy Todd was there.
Yeah, that's right. I got it. No, I was at a restaurant, walked into a restaurant about 4 days ago. Cha-Cha-Cha's, remember we were there?
Oh, yeah.
And Robert starts asking me all these questions. He goes, I looked up because I talk about a big swell that hit back in around 2000, and when I was doing my Molokai paddle, and
he was fact checking.
Yeah, I checked out the Southern Hemiswell. We went back into history and Googled it and verified tropical Allison, when I was riding my bicycle across the United States. But
Bear, tell us a little bit about going to New York City and getting to go to California and talking about, the book, and just, tell us about some of those stories, some of the people you got to stoke when you were out there.
I need you to help me because I never really got to talk about my book at all on the podcast. But
let's go.
It was really cool because the TV show Clean Break came out at the same time as the book.
If you guys haven't had a chance to check it out, you should go on to Fuel TV and watch Clean Break. All the episodes are up, and if you need something, if you need inspiration, and you're searching for it, watch that show, and then as a follow-up, read this book.
Does that have anything to do with my brother-in-law's thing, or is that something else?
That's Peter, yeah.
I know. That's my brother-in-law.
It was Lance introduced
Peter
me to
Miller?
Peter Isaacson.
That's my brother-in-law. It's Chris's brother.
We had dinner with Peter 4 or 5 years ago, and I had mentioned to him this desire I had to bring people out to from California. Lance, I think it's one of the first things you and I talked about when we first talked on the phone, was to bring people out, some men, and put them in harm's way, because I think... in the trailer for the book, which people can find on YouTube. All of our videos are bearswave.com. If you Google on that, if you YouTube search on that, you'll find it. But they show me doing all this radical stuff. Shane's got me, was a cinematographer. You see me doing all these radical things, surfing and riding my Harley and all kinds of flying my airplane, everything like that. But then at the very end, the very end, it says the most radical thing that this is kind of like the mantra I think God's given me lately.
It says
the most radical thing you can do in life is to be true to yourself.
No.
Because you can jump out of an airplane, that doesn't make you radical.
Yeah.
What makes you radical is really being true to your selfless self, to really be true to the virtue and to the kind of that inner calling that you have, like you talked about being a baby doctor, right? There's so many times you find yourself in a toxic relationship or something that you know is not what you're supposed to be in, or there's a career path that you're not following or you are following that you shouldn't be, or you're just kind of wallowing in the backwash of mediocrity. You're not really pursuing your truest, deepest, selfless self. And so what the thesis of Clean Break was we brought 3 young guys out here, and I told them at the beginning of the TV series, you are not going to be able to do this. You can't go alpha male and survive. You're gonna get to a breaking point. But I think especially with men, there's that verse that says, "Deep is calling to deep as the cataracts roar." There's that deepest part of men that I think women are more intuitive. They're more able to get in touch with that part of their soul. But a man kind of needs to come to an end of himself. Whether it's riding my bicycle when Fawn and I did the bicycle ride across the United States. Those midnight.
Meaning I was in the truck driving really slow while he rode across country.
And I remember listening to Iz as we went through the deserts of Arizona at midnight.
With like locusts literally raining from the
that was
sky,
Texas.
no joke.
Yeah.
I'm like,
but
great.
I think there comes a point when you kind of come to an end of yourself as a man where I can't push that bicycle pedal one more time. Or when I paddled a Molokai Channel, that's probably the hardest thing I've ever done. Or dropping in on a big wave, you're not to the end of yourself endurance-wise, but you plumb the depths of your soul courage-wise when you do that, or you jump out of a plane, or you're a pilot. You know what it was like the first time you soloed. There was a clean feeling that you had after that. And at that moment, if you the best views in life are from the edge. If you get to the edge of a mountain or the edge of your soul, you're going to gain a perspective. And so I just challenge people, if you're true to who your truest, deepest self in each and every little decision you make every day, whether it's I will not eat this, I will ride my bicycle to exercise like Shane does he's bicycling off into the night all the time.
Yeah, I love it.
If you're being true to yourself in the bigger ways and the little ways, you're going to be pursuing truth. Like Shakespeare said, to thine own self be true. But truth, I believe, is a person. Because Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. I don't have to point people to Jesus. I don't have to lay any trip on people. I just feel like if people are being true to themselves, if I really believe that Jesus is who he said he was, eventually when they get to the depth of their soul, they're going to find him. Yep. And so just to be true to yourself, he's waiting. He says, behold, I stand at the door and knock, way down there, that inner chamber of our soul. I think these sorts of experiences that I talk about in the book, Deep in the Wave, are kind of that to hell and back, that Rocky Balboa type thing that all of us have gone through, whether, we know about, people don't have any idea the hell the person next to them is going through, who has the big smile on their face and seems like life is going their way. We have no idea what's facing them. But God's been there with them through the good times and the times of adversity. And so the book Deep in the Wave is kind of a book every surfer could write. It's that feeling of paddling out, and we talk about creation, the beauty of the waves, and creation kind of bespeaks that there's a creator, right? And so when we're out in creation, we think about the Lord. When we're paddling into a wave, we wonder who made the wave. It wasn't just wind across the face of the water, because I think of waves. The very first waves were generated 15 billion years ago. At the Big Bang, that was radiation. Radiation's a wave, And so, to be a surfer is a real special thing. And I think people in Iowa who have never surfed there's sort of a mystical draw that surfing has to people, and it's because of that. And so this book is kind of like a primer on surfing. The reader goes out into the water with me, experiences the beauty of it, the power of it, the fear of it, and in that process we talk about the life lessons that all surfers have learned. And so it's ultimately an invitation to the pursuit of truth, being true to yourself, and beyond that, the pursuit of intimacy with God, which is pretty radical.
Yeah.
So, but writing this book was it's a heavy. There's no pictures of my book, Clark Little's pictures on the front, so I had to write a lot. And so it's a real blessing now to see when I went to New York. I'm sorry you asked me about that, Fawn. I went to LA.
Sorry, I started thinking about surfing. All of a sudden, I'm like, I gotta look out the window and see if there's any sets coming through.
I went to LA. I got to do. It was kind of interesting how God just opened doors, because I go to LA and a woman that I'd taken out tandem surfing 12 years ago and got nominated for an Emmy for her news story. Well, she said, "Well, come back. Let's talk about your book." And then Clean Break got me on KTLA, second biggest TV morning show in the country, and then EWTN. I know you like to listen to that radio station. They put me on their radio show, and then
you were on Coast to Coast AM.
Oh, I got to be on Coast to Coast. Tell us about that, Shane.
George Norrie interviewed you. That was really
it was
cool.
Ian Panett.
Oh, really?
He interviewed me. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got it wrong.
But those guys,
and then you're on Men's Health podcast.
Yeah, when I went to Men's Health podcast, we did that at Edelman's offices in New York.
Yeah.
The PR firm. But they had the Men's Health magazine on the desk, right? And the guy has these like 6-pack abs. It's kind of embarrassing because it's like looking at a mirror, It's kind of embarrassing how they got the picture of me at first. And I realized it wasn't really. But here I am, Lance. I'm on Men's Health magazine podcast.
Yeah.
He didn't ask me any questions about health. I don't know why.
Funny. That's funny.
But we got to do all those interviews, and then I got to go to CBS Morning News, and Vanessa Murdoch, who was in Virginia Beach, and I took out tandem surfing for one of her morning shows. Guess what? 2 weeks before I'm going to New York, she writes to me, "Hey, if you're ever in New York, we'd love to have you on our show." So I got to be in the morning show for CBS 2, and a lot of.
I want you to get Gabby, the Olympic athlete, to tandem surf with you, the gymnast.
Oh, wouldn't that be something? Oh my gosh.
She's in Virginia Beach. We'll get Brian to get her for us. Yeah, she was.
Well, I got to tandem surf with an Olympic athlete from Sweden.
Oh, I know. I heard about her.
Angelica Bengtström.
Oh.
But her pole, something happened to her pole during the Olympics. But when I first took her out tandem surfing, I took her and her sister out, and I told her mom and dad, your daughters are both really good athletes, but Angelica is really good. You should get her doing some sports. Does she do any sports? And they go, well, she holds the world record for pole vaulting.
Nice.
But when I lifted her, I had to stop her. I actually had to try to grab her and bring her down because she would jump so far. We got you in the heat over there.
I can't wait for us to just sit down, maybe next podcast and just wrap out more about your journeys to New York City.
Yeah, well, we should talk sometime about our bicycle ride together.
Yeah, a bear in New York City.
No, but we rode when I rode my bicycle across the United States, Fawn drove the escort truck. Pretty radical, huh? Cause
I think I was in more physical pain than he was because I was stuck in the car.
And she had to.
And I was vegan, and in Texas, our idea of veganism is I don't know, eating iceberg lettuce.
But Texas
we
is
love
a
you,
big
Texas.
state,
Though we love you. We love y'all. Don't get us wrong, y'all. Don't. I eat barbecue now.
That's funny. I'm riding on the plane over here, and I'm talking to this guy. Like you, we talk a little bit. And I'm going, hey, where you from? Oh, Texas. I said, what are you going to Hawaii for? I'm going to do some construction. And then we started talking. He's a bull rider and was a rodeo clown. And he's
rodeo clowns have guts, man.
He's looking at the book, and he goes, you do ballet? And I said, yeah. And he goes, me too. It's great.
What's funny is I was
real men wear tutus.
Tell them what Coast to Coast Radio is for people who don't know.
Coast to Coast is the best radio station when you want to find out about UFOs, Area 51, crazy
conspiracy theories,
all the way to the deep end, anything like Mothman, New Jersey Devils, Bigfoot,
or not just Sasquatch, or tandem. My book.
Yeah, your book.
I don't know what they had me on that show for.
It was Messengers and.
But you know what, Shane? Your video that you did, the trailer, over 5,000 hits.
Yeah, you guys go check it out.
Yeah, 5,000 hits. I think it's 4,000 actually.
So we're gonna wrap this up in a few minutes. We want to just kind of let everybody know.
I wanted to say that. Yeah. Don't forget to say that your book is available now on audio.
Yes.
iTunes and I think Audible.com.
Well, let's talk about that. Yeah, you can get the book hard copy at Barnes & Noble bookstores. The local Costco store in Hawaii has it. I'm not sure if it's everywhere. When I was in New York, I got to go into Barnes and Noble stores and autograph my books.
Nice.
And the other thing I want to put out there too that we've been talking a lot about is, people have been emailing us and asking us questions. Please continue to do that. What you can do is go on to bearswave.com fan page on Facebook and ask us questions. We'll answer them on the podcast. We want to get your feedback and we want to hear what you guys have to
I
ask
love it
us.
when people buy my book and they friend me on Facebook, or they go to our bearswave.com fan page on Facebook and they like it, or they email me, or they follow me on Twitter at bearswave. I love it because I'm getting in touch. No author usually gets to have that kind of interaction with their readers until the last 4 or 5 years. So people read my book and then they write to me, and it's just really beautiful to see what the impact it's had on them. But we've got something going on right now. I think we're going to bump this podcast up to happening on Thursday. We're going to bump it in front of the other ones. We have. I'm going to be on Spirit FM, I think, this coming week in the morning. But we're going to be doing book signings the whole week of the Duke Ocean Fest, and then Friday the 25th, Costco 1 to 3 in Nimitz, and then the 26th, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we're going to be in front of Duke's Restaurant doing book signings. So we'd love to, if you've already bought the book, come by so we can sign it. If not, we'll have books there.
Yeah, come sit and talk story with us. We're just going to be hanging out and signing books, and also Bear's going to be doing some free tannin lessons on the beach that week.
Yeah, all during the Duke Ocean Fest. But we love to have the people who read the book to come by and be in touch with us. It's really cool as an author to get feedback. And you know what? This book, seems to be having a wonderful impact, changing people's lives and comforting people in times of loss. And also, it's been really great for helping people understand the challenges that have been thrown, the adversity that's been thrown into their life, and how God can use that for their good. So, any other parting words, my friend Lance?
Yeah, I just realized, and I'm not doing this yet, but I know I have to. We have a Twitter.
Yeah, what is it?
All right.
It's Twitter at SexualMD.
And we're at Bears Wave. So if you want to follow on Twitter. Are you going to, if we announce that, are you going to start Twittering every day?
I guess I'll have to figure it out.
We'll talk. We'll talk.
And we also have a website, sexualmedicineflorida.com.
Okay, and ours is bearswave.com. Take us away, Shane. My good son, my awesome son, Shane, who...
Thanks so much for being here.
He's the one that
today,
created
Lance.
this podcast.
It was so cool listening to you.
Does all of our cinematography and helped us so much getting... he edited the book that's available on Audible, so if you want to work out when you're listening to the book,
Don't forget to check out onit.com.
My beautiful daughter, Niomi, Fawn, Shane Woznick, Jacky Remrey. We had the beautiful Gabrielle here, who, by the way, saved the day this morning when she did the photography at the Duke Ocean Fest. They didn't have a photographer.
Peace out, guys. We'll
and
talk
Dr.
to you
Lance
next week.
Maki,
Goodbye.
the father of tandem
Thank you.
surfing on the
Hello.
East Coast.
Aloha.
Ahuiho.